Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. John, welcome back to the show.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back.
John, you've just returned from the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver last weekend, where Azimuth Exploration presented in your session after tripling earlier in the week. What was the mood like at the conference, and was Azimuth a Discovery star of the show?
Well, Jim, first of all about the mood. This was a tremendous conference. It was packed with people. All the talks, not just the speakers, but even the companies presenting. They had full house audiences. Interestingly, it is still the existing audience for resource juniors. In my own session, when I asked if there was anybody here who has never been at a conference, at this Metals Investor Forum conference, only one hand went up, and that was somebody who was a mining executive. So it was basically the diehards who have stuck it out, were limping into the ninth year of a bear market, but the mood is that finally a turnaround is underway. And it seems to be that the market is starting to believe that the gold uptrend, which started last year, has staying power. I mean, earlier this month it went over 1,600. It's now bumbling around between 1,550 and 1,570. And last year, when gold made that tremendous move from 1,300 all the way up to 1,550, the producers moved in the third quarter, but then they stalled, and the juniors never tracked. In fact, they went into the garbage can during the last quarter of 2019 because the market just doesn't believe that gold can do it. But now we're starting to see the audiences start to take the possibility of a sustained gold uptrend seriously. Now, we are in January. There is always the January effect where hope springs eternal in January, that this year will be different, and it is possible that gold will fade away and peace and harmony will reign in the world, and the juniors will go back to sleep. But that wasn't what the crowd was thinking. Now, as for Azimuth Exploration, they put out results for their Elmer project on Tuesday, and the stock shot from 50 cents all the way up to $1.50 on heavy volume. It's still in the $1.40 to $1.50 range. There, the Elmer project on a 100% basis has a $90 to $100 million implied value. Now, the results, they were very good gold results, middle, medium to high grade assays, but from 7 holes, but they were all from a fairly small footprint, a 70 meter by 200 meter outcrop where they had done sampling, surface sampling last year, including channel sampling. And the 6 of the holes were drilled at an angle to cut these extensional quartz veins, and 1 hole was drilled perpendicular to the strike of the shear structure that they interpret to be there. Now, the dramatic move has 2 reasons for it. One is, I think the audience out there is primed to go from glass half empty attitude to glass half full. The reaction was tremendous. I would not have expected it, given the small tonnage footprint, which is sort of 3 to 4 million ton range down to a depth of 100 meter, and for every 1 gram per gold grade that you would get, that would be about 120,000 ounces. So what they drilled off, maybe a couple 100,000 ounces, which in the James Bay region of Quebec is nothing but an interesting showing. It's not a mine. But the other reason was the geological context that Jean-Marc Louland's team had developed during the past year. They had acquired this project in 2018 after Eastmain finally dropped it after holding it since 1996. And the upper part, northern part of the property has seen, a fair amount of drilling from various parties. But this particular area just had some sampling. And what Azimuth did was go in there, follow this up, strip the land, do detailed mapping of what they're seeing there, and they developed this model of a 7-kilometer shear structure, 50 to 100 meters wide, within which there are these northwest-southeast extensional veins, what they call a Riedel type structure. And a shear zone is when two opposing blocks of rock undergo stresses so that they move in different directions, and normally they just break and they slide, and it's called a fault. But in a shear structure, the stuff in between, it stretches and crumbles and just gets messed up, and it isn't a true break. And in this case, there is a felsic intrusion between metasediments to the north and a gabbro to the south, and it is a more brittle rock. So what happened is when, way back in the Archean time, when this area underwent tectonic forces, this felsic intrusion, it stretched and cracked and developed pathways for fluids to go through. And this is an Archean setting similar to what we have in the Abitibi Belt, where you have fluids come up driven by metamorphic processes, and they find these cracks and they fill them up with gold mineralization. Now, this type of setting has not yet been seen in the James Bay region. Eleanor is a metasediment hosted system. Sirius is Chichu is an intrusion-related system where the gold came in at the same time as the intrusion came in. And East Maine's Eau Claire project is a series of discrete tourmaline quartz veins. This is the kind of setting similar to Bosquet associated with the Cadillac Larder break in the Abitibi, the Quebec side, where there's the potential to develop millions of ounces. And the market understood this context. The company had done a good job of articulating what they were hoping to prove. And what these results did, beyond just showing nice fancy grades, they showed that the context is, that the geological context or model is correct. And now, of course, the question is, well, do these extensional vein sets repeat themselves along the 7-kilometer strike? And that's and the reason they focused on this particular area was that the rest of the property in that area is covered by swamp or overburden. They have sampled along that inferred shear structure and come up with high-grade values here and there where there's a sporadic outcrop. But the key to this now is an IP geophysical survey. There is enough pyrite in this shear structure to create a chargeability high. The quartz in the system should also create a resistivity high. And the hope now is this program that's underway will show these chargeability highs light up along this trend. And we should know by the middle of February, this area, 2-kilometer segment that they plan to drill in, on which they're doing the IP survey, it's largely swamp, and they need to drill it in March, April in order to get this done. So they're fast-tracking the IP survey. We should, by mid-February, know if it lights up repeatedly within there. If it does, the stock will probably move higher. Now, at $100 million valuation, we've already got a 3-bagger out of it. We're entering into potential S-curve territory where the market will say, well, how many million ounces will there be within this shear structure? And that's the speculative upside. So it's very good to see the market respond like this. We have seen map staking take place all around this property, which is more in the western part of the James Bay region. Midland staked the Como property to the south, covering different rock types. Another couple juniors that I'll be writing about have also staked land in the vicinity. They've received modest moves in the market after last year's false alarm with the Great Canadian Area play at James Bay based on Midland's mithril copper play. The market's a little cautious this time around, but finding this type of deposit in this manner, in this part of the James Bay region, if it's validated as a major multi-million ounce Bousquet type of discovery, that means much of that area around there needs to be looked at again. So we may have the foundation in place for a proper Great Canadian Area play in the James Bay region in 2020.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after the break.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines. Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the 2019 drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, another company in your Vancouver Metals Investor Forum session was Taiga Gold Corp, on whose Fisher project SSR Mining has already spent $8 million drilling an incredible 22,000 meters and is now starting a 12,000-meter drill program. Does Taiga have a discovery at Fisher?
Jim, that is a really good question because the results so far do not make you want to write a huge check, back up the truck, and buy the hell out of Taiga Gold Corp. That was 48 holes that SSR has drilled since optioning this project in 2016, and they're gearing up to drill another 12,000 meters. Now, that will be $12 million that the company will have spent by the middle of 2020. Now, this is very peculiar because they've only reported one interesting ore grade intersection, and that was late last year in the Mac North area. The target area, the Fisher project, it's like 30 kilometers of a regional shear structure that projects into the CB Santoy project, where there are two gold mines that SSR bought in early 2016 when they acquired Claude Resources for about $337 million. And within a month they had done a deal with Eagle Plains on this Fisher structure, and Eagle Plains had map staked this area a couple years earlier based on this idea that this shear structure is potentially pregnant, but very little work had ever been done. So it was a bit of a speculation that this could end up being this fantastic gold-enriched system. Now, it's not, in this case, the shear fault structure itself is not going to be what hosts the gold itself. It's going to be all these splays off of it. And what the SSR has done is it's done extensive sampling where they get very high-grade gold values over quite a length of this. So they've confirmed that, yes, this is fertile, but their drilling, which is all done core drilling to define the structure of this system, they haven't had an awful lot of luck, but they have demonstrated what is the geological context, what are the controls, and it seems that now they are in there. They've doubled their camp to 42 people. The program is now underway, and now they are going to be drilling for ore grade mineralization. So this intersection they had last year is the starting point for hopefully them delineating a discovery. Now, the whole story is very peculiar because in the deal, they only needed to spend $4 million or so to vest for 60%. And yet they've already spent $8 million and are spending another $12 million. If they were to announce that they have vested for 60%, they would have 1 year to pay $3 million to Taiga. But instead, they're putting $12 million into this project. Why are they doing this? Well, the Santoy CB complex, it's producing about 120,000 ounces of gold per year, and they are doing work on that property to find more ounces, but they see this as a long-lived project, and they see the Fisher structure as critical. Now, I expect that by the second half of this year, they will announce that they have vested for 60%, and hopefully they make the $3 million payment right away rather than wait a year to do it. But what the company is hoping is that they get a buyout offer. Now, at 20% net, the company currently has a $34 million implied value, and if this if SSR wants to have a successful bid, it's probably going to have to pay $100 million or something like that to acquire it. So the stock is a potential go up 2 or 3 times in price. But the reason I've also had it in my Metals Investor Forum session is they also own several other properties, Orchid farther to the south in that Fisher shear structure, and then the Leland, which rakes off to the west. And these are 100% owned projects. And so this turnaround that we're experiencing in the market, where the market's starting to become willing to see the glass as half full rather than 3/4 empty, this potentially enables the company to raise money later this year to explore its own 100% owned properties. Now, they're sitting on $8 million worth of data that SSR generated in the last 3 years without delivering any, super fancy results. But all that information has been passed on to Taiga Gold Corp, and they are putting it into their models. And when they go in there and tackle their 100% owned properties, they are going to do it from a base of an awful lot of information, which a junior, the management would have been crucified if it raised $8 million and spent it and only ended up with that one intersection at the end of the day. So at the 100%, the company's pricing the project at only $7 million. So there's a game now afoot where the company believes that SSR needs the Fisher project, will want to buy out Taiga Gold, and so it's a question of how much will SSR pay to buy out Taiga Gold. So the hope now is that in the next 3 to 4 months, we start seeing some really good intersections confirming, yes, we have a gold-enriched zone that's going to end up being, 300, 400,000 ounces, just the beginning of many such pearls on this necklace that SSR will eventually demonstrate. And before Taiga Gold gets going on its own 100% owned project in the context of an emerging bull cycle for the resource juniors, SSR is going to move quickly to take out Taiga Gold and wrap up all of those holdings in this part of northern Saskatchewan.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after the break.
Cypress Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Zephyr Minerals also presented in your Metals Investor Forum session. Is Zephyr any closer to a discovery?
Well, Jim, we last talked about Zephyr Minerals on September 17th on Discovery Watch, and they had just released the results of a geophysical mag survey that they conducted on the El Plomo segment of their Green Mountain Dawson project in Colorado. Now, this project originally was a gold project. They've got these high-grade mesothermal veins. They've outlined a couple 100,000 ounces and done a small PEA. But the problem with that project is the host structure dips into the mountain, and so to delineate more ounces has been is impossible because you're drilling from the other side of a mountain. And so a couple years ago they acquired another segment to the west, which doesn't have quite that same problem, but has not been explored for the gold potential, and they were tackling that. And so in early 2019, there emerged this idea that the middle segment, which is a downdropped portion and doesn't have any gold potential whatsoever, is in fact the right setting for a broken hill type of zinc, lead, silver system. And we've talked about this story with Dr. Paul Spry, recognizing the gonite in the region, which is an indicator mineral for this type of system when it is zinc enriched, and we won't go over it again. But what they have outlined since then with that geophysical survey is they've done the 3D inversion, which enables them to see the volume of the geophysical anomaly. Now this 2 kilometer or so segment has outcropping zinc, lead, silver mineralization, fairly narrow. It was drilled maybe to 75 meters, 100 meters or so in the past. It's high grade. It's got the right sort of a segregation of lead, silver mineralization relative to zinc mineralization that you see in the Broken Hill type of system. But it was narrow and it was never followed up with. But now with this geophysical survey, they see several blobs under there that represent 40 to 80 million tons of rock. Now, are they mineralized? We don't know. The market's saying no. This project's got a $14 million valuation at the current price. The company is now on the road to raise money to drill this target in the summer. They can only do this from July 1st to August 31st because it is bighorn sheep habitat. It'll never be an open pit mine. It's going to be an underground mine. It'll probably be accessed from an area far away from where the sheep habitat is, but they have this critical window to go in there and drill several holes into these geophysical anomalies to see if they are indeed mineralized with 10% plus combined lead zinc with a significant silver kicker. Now, what they hope to accomplish is something like the Cannington deposit, which in its original carnation was a 45 million ton body that was running 12% lead, 5% zinc, and a 500 gram silver. In fact, it was a silver mine, the biggest silver producer in the world. You find something like that today, and you have a $2 billion outcome. And for me, potentially, Zephyr Minerals is an extremely exciting play. It could be the Arizona mining with the Hermosa Taylor discovery that we had in 2016, and if you recall, that was a 35-cent pick in January of 2016, right around the time of this late January conference timing, and that ended up being taken out in 2018 for $2.1 billion by South 32 at $6.20. But here we have a company with only 60 million shares fully diluted, and if it were to and compared to $300 million, if it were to deliver a Hermosa Taylor equivalent zinc, lead, silver discovery, instead of like going to $6, this is a $20 to $30 home run. So this is the kind of high stakes, high risk, high reward target with a backed by scientific models and data that's been gathered to support that this is the right setting for this type of target. If we're heading into a glass half full type of exploration market, this is the kind of stock that's really, really interesting, especially if the price of failure is that they go back to this gold target that they have, which is easily worth the sort of $14 million valuation that the market is assigning to it right now. So in this sort of emerging bull market, this is the type of company that's out there. They're still being priced very cheaply. This one has the potential to deliver an out-of-the-park discovery. Last year we saw a junior called Cantex rocket to $7-8 based on what they thought was a Broken Hill type of system. That they did have the high grades, but it's in a very remote location, and it is not really a Broken Hill type of system. And one of the things that has management quite excited about the El Plomo segment, that the geophysics, is that when they walk through the various sections, they can see the orientation of the anomaly change, and that they interpret as a fold structure. And these Broken Hill deposits are formed from traditional pancake-like SEDEX deposits that end up being squeezed together and folded, and the mineralization is remobilized and put into a big blob that's rich and can be easily mined with large-scale underground techniques such as block caving. So Zephyr Minerals, it's not yet a discovery, but it is definitely in position to deliver a discovery later this year.
John, thanks a lot for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.